Well, hi YouTubers, hi, I'm back with the 41 Years of Mills and Boone, and it is part 30 to 39 of A Heart for Compass by Sir Ferguson and Margaret Kay. Okay, so at this juncture, Margaret's just arrived in New York, she's finding her feet, she's trying to find herself, and this bit here, this is one occasion she's gone straight to the Fifth Avenue Hotel, because obviously Margaret doesn't do poor. Okay, right. This bit here is one occasion she's realising, oh my god, I'm practically alone in a strange city, or not all by myself. Okay? Margaret's mind was preoccupied with practical matters. Did one summon a maid? How did one summon a maid? Was she to unpack her belongings herself? Dress herself? How did one order meals? Did one eat in private or in public? Drink in a dining room? If a female guest sat alone in one of the saloons, did she risk being accosted? All the conventions she took for granted might not now apply that she's on the other side of the Atlantic. The gulf between her old life and this new one seemed too vast to digest. And this is where Marion comes in. Marion's like, while she's been resting, Marion's like, oh, I've done that already. I literally, now this would have been a great kind of like montage of Margaret kind of interviewing staff and getting to know, people like, the good ones, the bad ones. But it's like she goes up for a nap, wakes up, and it's Marion's like, her companion's like, oh yeah, I've done all that for you. Okay, whilst you were resting, I sorted all that. Everything just seems to come so easy to Margaret. It really, really does. Okay? And once again, even though she's a, stranger in a strange land, the issue of her weight keeps coming out. There's a lot of discussion in this book about her size, okay? Her swell figure, okay? Her curves, okay? Marion, however, is very, very curvy. She's very Rubenesque, I guess. Hey, a bit like me, okay? But the thing is, Margaret's like, right, It's strange, Margaret says, to come into deliciously warm, doughy cornbread. But when Mamma was further wielding her measuring table fastened over the sides of my waist, I craved cake. In Ireland, when I was free to eat as much cake as I wanted, I found I didn't want to. That was simply my contrary nature. It's certainly human nature to what one is told one cannot have, Man said dryly. Right, and then I had a discussion, okay, of clothes and corsets and stuff. This section is about introducing Margaret into high society. However, I really didn't feel it, and the issue is it's the Gilded Age. That I literally just finished watching the Gilded Age. I liked it. Some bits are actually absolutely wonderful. I absolutely love Peggy, who obviously, as this is a Julian Fellows drama, women do get screwed over in those. So this is the time set in the Gilded Age. Okay, so naturally you kind of expect some of that. You kind of expect a bit more pomp, a bit more opulence. Okay, right. But the thing is, there's an issue with Margaret. Okay, even though she, um, I don't know, she kind of seems to think that she's better than New York in some ways. Okay, right. There was an air of permanence here that belied Mary's assertion that this part of the city, as recently as 15 years ago, had been little more than mild hovels and farmland. The mansions were tall, square, and similar in proportions. The bastion of the facade presented a pleasing uniform appearance. One of these must be William Astor's house, Marion mused. I would have thought it'd be grander. Caroline Astor is a formidable woman, who I'm told is the gatekeeper of New York. Husband is not fond of socialising and prefers country pursuits. Right. Okay, country pursuits, country matters. Right. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, country matters or country pursuits. Right. I'm gonna have to link to that to what actually means below. Okay, but okay. Right. So Marian Astor has left her calling card, okay, because that's that's the thing. And this bit here, okay, this is when she actually does meet William Astor, or Mrs. Astor. Mrs. William Astor occupied what Margaret now knew to be called a brownstone at number 355th Avenue. It was a square townhouse 4 stories high, separated from the sidewalk by a low balustrade and neat flight of steps leading up to a door flanked by 2 pillars. It was opened by a livid footman in an eye-catching combination of green coat, red waistcoat, white knee breeches, and black silk stockings. Okay. So, kind of matched up to the Gilded Age with this fight. And this bit here, now this bit kind of threw me as well. This bit here, okay, is Samuel Ward McAllister shows up. Now, in the Guild of Ladies played by Nathan Lane. So as soon as I read that, Nathan Lane popped into my head, who was kind of like the man about town. He might be a little bit, or kind of like, in some respects, he's like a dandy. He kind of knows everyone. He has all his connections. He can get you stuff. Okay? Right. This gentleman looked to be in his 40s, and like Mrs. Astor, his dress was plain to the point of funeral. Perhaps Margaret thought, as he bowed over her hand to compensate for his hair, which despite the massa oil which he applies so copiously as she could smell it, he failed to tame the grizzled curls which looked as if they were beating a hazy retreat from his doomed forehead. His goatee of so long a moustache looked as if it had been badly knitted from thin wire. As you could see, he made a decidedly shallow bow. That Marion was trying very hard not to laugh. Right. Right. Strictly speaking, I should leave, Miss Ward said, resume his seat. But since you've inevitably broken the rules, Lady Margaret, she will not object to my bending them just a little further. It's the custom here, continued in response to a blanket. Leave a card before paying a call, but I assure you we take no offence. Right. Different kind of rules. Different kind of rules. But Margaret, in a way, just thinks she's above them. She absolutely thinks she's above them. And Margaret, maybe because, okay, she's now in her 20s, no longer a child, okay, she's got this kind of air of arrogance about her. So you've got Mrs. Astor. Mrs. Astor basically runs the, she's the doyen of, New York social sphere, okay? And they start chatting, okay, about fashion, because it's like a safe subject, okay? And, kind of getting to know each other. And this bit here, okay? Right. Chatting about the Queen of England, because, right, about the Queen of wearing black, which she actually wore black is just when her husband died, but, right. It's a difficult colour for someone to carry off as well as I can, especially when they're lacking in inches. But if Her Majesty would be better advised to try softer tones, grey for example. Yes, Margaret said, nonplussed. Was Miss Astor imagining she would pass her suggestions on to the Queen? Louise, the Princess, would have been tickled by this. If only Lou were here, but no, of all things, Louise loved low pretentiousness and toadying. She would have made Miss Astor's chief courtiers, for all there was no doubt that other old Mr. McAllister had allotted to himself. Right, yes, so she meets Mrs. Astor, and it's the, well, give the Queen my regards, Toady. And I know it's thinking, really? Mrs. Astor is basically the Denzine, okay? She's a top class of New York society and the sphere, okay? And this is a country where titles, Civil War happened, okay? They don't really have the same kind of meaning, right? About Margaret, even though, okay, she's seen as the breath Scotch air, she comes in, becomes a woman about town, everyone wishes to know her name, will be associated with her and her name, I was going to come into it, okay, and, she starts to delight in New York social sphere, okay, right, page, chapter 23. The two women both starved for very different reasons of social life, the warmth of their reception, the generosity of their various hosts, and the sheer variety of entertainments on offer made their first few weeks in this new country a giddy delight. New York society was governed by as many unwritten rules and conventions in its London equivalent, but to Mr. McAllister's very disguised chagrin, New Yorkers seemed to be inclined to be indulgent of Margaret's inadvertent breach of strict rules of etiquette for which she took personal responsibility. Oh, so basically every time Margaret screws up socially, okay, it's Mr. McAllister's fault. Because, Margaret just feels so untouchable in New York. Absolutely so untouchable. There's bits that I did like. It was when, okay, she's like, talking about the, like, I guess the shops as well. Maybe because there was a drama in the UK called Mr. Selfridge, and the kind of the history of how these big shops, not as big as they used to be, came to be. Okay? And I just love the writing in this. I generally, I'm snarking on this book, but I love the writing. This bit here. Okay? I make her from craning to look upwards at a store built of iron and glass, crystal palaces on a towering scale, flaunting their wares in a manner that the staid London shops would consider vulgar. The welcome they extended was very different too. Each customer was treated identically, greeted with enthusiasm that would appall a London shopkeeper eager to disdainfully look down his nose at those he deemed unworthy of his emporium. At 14th Street, Margaret left Broadway to head over to 6th and Macy's with a distinctive red star beside the name. She dallied in front of the window display, marveling at such mundane items as sheets and towels and blankets were made to look so attractive. I like that. No, I didn't really like that bit. There's the whole kind of being set in, like, imagine, like, the first time you're going to Liberty's, okay, which is a beautiful, beautiful shop, okay? It's that kind of thing, you know, hi. And the Margaret started to relish her freedom. At this time, okay, marrying her companion is kind of like met someone and actually doing her own thing. Right. And it's in a way, Margaret's still in a way also got a bit of culture shock as well, because Margaret's going out, no chaperone, a mad woman, no chaperone. And she's really kind of understanding, okay, underneath the balls and the frivolities and all that. And of course, she is really purposeless. She's rudderless. It was liberating to blend into the crowd, but at the same time, it made her acutely aware that she was not yet one of them. Her days were filled, yet she felt purposeless. And when her feet were aching, decided to take a rest in the ladies' parlour, which she had heard of but never visited, she made her way to the second floor. Okay? Right. So, that's the thing. Margaret feels rudderless and powerless and all that. And then, like, you know, instantly, she finds a purpose. Like, two pages later, she goes at this, like, women's parlour to, like, kind of, like, take tea. Okay? Two women come up to her, and they're both female journalists. Okay? They are both female journalists, and they both want Margaret. Right. 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 It's like this bit. This is Mary Louise Booth, who has written a history of New York, has editor of a magazine called Harper's Bazaar, which launched last year. She added two female journalists. Okay, Mrs. Coyley and Mrs. Booth. Okay, right. Two female journalists, and both of them looked entirely respectful. Margaret hesitated. Mama would politely decline the invitation, but Louise would tell her that no journalist was to be trusted. But Marion hadn't. Meg exhorted her to join all that New York had to offer. And here were two women who actually made their living from writing. So they join her. And they talk to her. And she gets a job. She becomes a writer. It's you are the new breath of fresh air in London society, okay? You're a bit of a screw up, and you're, you know, curvy, and you've got red hair, and you're Scottish, and we want to hire you. We want to hire you to write articles for us. And there's one bit here that actually gets a little bit messer, okay? Right. Right. I'm very flattered, but I never written for the press. Margaret demurred. As I said earlier, we will pay our fee. Miss Crowley quoted a figure that set Margaret back. It is high for a new writer, but your name will sell. Right. And I can pay the same rate. That is per article, Mrs. Booth said. My name, do you mean my real name will be printed? Is that a problem? Our father would be furious. And then this goes a little bit messer, okay? I just kind of appreciate this. Okay, this is when, okay, she's chatting to Marion, who, you know, like, you know, Margaret's like, I'll think about it. Okay, she doesn't just jump to it. And she goes off to speak to Marion, her companion, who's like, here you go, this bit here. Right. Both wish to publish me under my real name. Perhaps they fear, oh, if I write anonymously, no one will read it. It's certainly true that few people will read it. Margaret's face fell. So it's only my name that interests them. Is that what you mean? Your name will gain you readers, but it is your writing that will keep them wanting more. About that, you know. So only my name that interests them. Is that what you mean? I don't know. Is that what you mean? Bit meta there. Budgie's little helicopter. So, okay. So Margaret starts to write, and also I love this, okay? In the same way, okay, when she was in Dublin and Scotland and in London, she goes down to 5 points. She goes down to 5 points and does exactly that, okay? She starts coming and taking care of the poor and the sick and the infame and teaching us the 5-point mission and that kind of stuff, because she needs something to do, okay? She's been paid for her writing, of which Katie describes, you know, the differences between the UK and New York, the squalor in 5 points. She actually starts, you know, to kind of work that in, you know, her appearances on the city, which is absolutely beautiful. And yeah, And then she goes under 5 points, okay, and basically starts doing what she did in London and everywhere else, okay. She starts teaching to the young. She starts preaching to the young because Margaret's got a saint complex going on. Margaret seems to have virtually no flaws, okay. It's kind of, I'm just gonna go down and teach the poor and the young and inflame, you know, bring me your masses. Oh, right. Right, this is when, okay, when she's meeting the two journalists for dinner, okay. Oh, of course, okay, because people do absolutely fall in love with Margaret always, okay. And I don't know, this thing, okay. Tonight was on a club event, just to feed them for dinner, which meant waiting in line with the rest of the diners. For Demonico's policy was to offer tables on a first come first served basis. And Margaret had first explained this in a letter last year. Julia had been outraged, not by the notion of ladies actually queuing up to eat, but the idea of ladies dining in public. Victoria, in contrast, made no secret in her letters that she envied the various freedoms Margaret enjoyed, and relished reading every detail of her shopping trip, despite the delight of the Monico's extremely expensive menu. Right. So, yes, so first come, first serve. You gotta queue up. Societal rules don't apply anymore. She is just having to queue. And then, okay, she meets Randolph. Randolph, who's like, oh, do you mind if I go ahead? She's like, no, you don't. Okay, you don't, you know. He's like, oh, you like a tourist? Oh, do you mind if I go ahead? She's like, excuse me. Okay, I can't pull that off. No, you are going to wait. This is how it works. First come, first serve. Get to the back of the queue. Okay? Right. So she meets Randolph, and Randolph's a journalist, and Randolph also works at 5 points. Randolph works for free. Okay, so correction, no, Randolph is a lawyer. Randolph is a lawyer who works for free. He also works down at 5 points, basically trying to help people down there. He's a good guy. Randolph is a good guy. Okay? And they start to have a friendship. Now, at this time, Marion actually meets someone. Okay, she meets this guy into horse racing, so she leaves. She actually leaves, okay, with her, Rubenesque curves, and just goes off elsewhere. Okay, she actually goes back to Ireland. So she leaves. So Margaret is chaperoneless in London, meeting Randolph, and they start to have a friendship. They actually kind of like drink beer together. They go to like German beer halls again, drink beer, have a friendship. Okay. So Margaret is being a saint of the streets. She's met this German American guy who is a lawyer who's interested in helping the people of 5 points, as Margaret is. Oh, they. Okay. And Margaret is just seemed to, people of the Gilded Age, okay, they were interested in charity. But charity, okay, was, it was so much, okay, about them. It's kind of, look how we're helping. I'm knitting mittens for the poor, but I won't go and, meet the poor. Okay? Right. Right, this is chapter 29. Montcalf returned early to the city from upstate, where she was staying with the Astors once again. Finding herself surrounded by fellow guests with well-established philanthropic credentials, she'd been able to resist trying to interest them in the plight of the 5 point children. She'd adroitly failed, frustrating against her better judgment. She had made a fatal final attempt at the dinner table 2 nights ago, demanding to know if there was anyone present interested in their views on a scandal going on downtown in their own city, rather than insider knowledge of the relationship between a widowed queen and a Scottish gillie. Ooh, Queen Victoria and John Brown. Okay. The result had been startled and embarrassed silence, followed by a half conversation which she pointedly ignored. Right. But the thing is, with Randall, so basically everyone, Margaret's like, think about these children, think of the children, please. And with her with Randolph, okay, they actually start a friendship. They even go, I can't believe this even happened, okay. They go swimming together. They absolutely go swimming together. At the time, okay, these costumes they wore, okay, were woolen and awful, and they basically look like underwear. I mean, even just to wear them. I mean, but there you go. But they actually visit the sea, okay, and it's like let's go swimming. And the last one in the water buys the beers because Mark's drinking beer now. God, right. But this bit here, okay. In the bathing hut, the instructions of some men to enter the water briskly to reaches the waist, which Randolph had obviously followed. Women were exhorted to proceed with caution, lest to be overcome with hysteria. Gentle and immersing herself, Margaret waded out as steadily as she could. Forgetting to be in bed, she concentrated on keeping her balance, for the sand underfoot was soft. Right. The flannel swimsuit was looking like a huge sponge, soaking up the water and dragging her down. By the time the water was required waist deep, required waist deep. I like the fact that you required waist deep. You couldn't get any further. God, imagine if they went up to your chest. A scandal. By the time her suit was soaked, her hair was escaping and flying out her face, and her skin was tingling with salt. Yet she was imbued with a feeling of fierce world happiness, the joy of being alive, and just being just in control and not out of her depth. Oh, honey, you're out of your depth. You're out of your depth. You barely even know this, man. She writes this article, okay, about 5 points, saying, please think of the children. But she doesn't know this fine enough guy. It's like, well, you're a good guy. You help people on 5 points. I'm helping people on 5 points. I'm teaching in school. My children's book, which I published in America, so the UK is going to be published here. It's all coming together for Margaret. She occasionally thinks of Donald, though. Okay, the guy she turned down. So it's kind of like, within these 10 chapters, everything kind of spills on Margaret. She joins the Gilded Age. However, I know, maybe because I've actually watched the Gilded Age, I never felt the Gilded Age, if you will. I never really got that. It's just a vibe. You know, Ward McAllister, well, Nathan Lane plays them brilliantly. But just from more like archetypes. Also, one thing I did notice, though, is this is the end of the Civil War. Okay? So there was one brief mention of soldiers coming back from the Civil War. But this is a time, okay, of massive huge social change in New York. There were people who were fleeing the threat of, you know, of Reconstruction. There were people who literally, they turned into the cities because they were believed like safer zones. No mention of that. Okay, a little bit, okay, of Civil War, and that's it. So that, I guess, kind of annoyed me, okay, because that would be a really kind of good moment to capture. This, you go to a kind of country which is end of the Civil War, a massive huge bit of social change, and that's never even touched upon. Maybe it will be. A few chapters left. I'm gonna finish them up. You know, been up this week. Thoughts. It felt really kind of shallow. It just felt like everything comes so easy to Margaret. I just found it frustrating. So yeah, I'm looking for a job. I get one. Sebastian, by the way, he actually dies in. That was a priest in London. She gets a letter. He's actually dead. He died. He was stabbed to death in London. Spoiler. And and for that, that was when she gets the impetus to actually just think good in his name and join 5 points. I will just think good in his memory. They. And then there's Randolph coming in. Right. When she's still thinking of Donald. And by the way, I've got only a few chapters left. If I find out she actually gets with Donald, I'm gonna be really mad. Okay, and now sign off. 41 years of Mills and Boone. Bye now.